Hello, fabulous you. Thank you for tuning in to the Fabulous Staging seminar. Esther Elyard is our amazing CEO of Effortless Designs, and I have been working with her since 2024. She has been a blessing to my clients. She just has so much advice and expertise to give in the staging aspect and interior design. And she helps remove the stress and overwhelm from clients and create a home that is going to sell and look beautiful. So, Esther, we are so glad you're here and you can take the floor.
Thank you so much, Tennille. What a great intro. And it's been wonderful working with you. I feel like it's been 3 years, almost 3 years that we've been working together. And it's been lovely getting to meet your clients and getting to know you over the years. And it's been a wonderful relationship. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so everyone can see it. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So, what I want to talk through today with our seminar is the strategic difference between staging for the market and designing for real life. This is honestly one of those things that a lot of people misunderstand. You know, when you go into design their home, they're kind of like, oh, but we want it to look like nobody lives here. And then when you go in to stage their home, there's too much of everything that they were living in, and they kind of are like, well, why do we have to get rid of it? So today I'm hoping this will provide some clarity overall on what it really means to stage and what it really means to design so that you have that clarity moving forward. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Esther Allard, and I am the founder of Effortless Designs. We are a full service interior design studio servicing the Northeast Georgia area. We primarily work on new builds, renovations, and whole home furnishings, and been able to help a few of Tennille's clients with all of those aspects as well. And for us, the motto that I have for our company is that we're here to create homes that are both elevated and livable. It's so funny. Sometimes I'll get people coming in and they're like, well, we want it to look beautiful, but it's okay if it's not like fully functional. And for me, that's not okay. I do believe that you can have a beautiful home and also be functional for everyday life. I have a bachelor's degree in music with certifications in home staging and interior design. And in the past few years, we've had the honor and privilege to be featured on The Spruce, Martha Stewart, Southern Living, Georgia Design, which is a more local magazine, and then Apartment Therapy as well. Very appreciative to all of those publications. And of course, if for those of you who don't know me, I am a proud type A personality. I thrive on organization, clear communication, and structure. So as we go through this, I'm sure that will be ringing loud and clear as we go through the presentation. And of course, one of my most amazing roles here on earth is being the husband to the best husband on earth. And I can't say that more. We've been married almost 3 years this year, and we can't wait to reach the 80-year mark. That is our goal. So we'll let you know, we'll let you know how it goes. All right, so one of the biggest misconceptions I see is people thinking that staging and interior design are the same thing, and they're not. They serve two completely different purposes, and understanding that can quickly impact how your home sells and how much it sells for. So we're going to kind of clear up some of those things today. What is home staging? I am one of those people that likes to define the terms. Anytime I'm going through any sort of process personally or in business, I like to define the terms. So, home staging, this was right off of Google. Home staging is a marketing strategy and creative process aimed at presenting a home in its best light to attract buyers and maximize its potential sale. Staging is really about preparing your home so that it appeals to a broad range of buyers. Unfortunately, it's not about your personal style. It's about creating something that feels broadly appealing and easy to step into for buyers. So everything is intentional, but it's also temporary. The goal is to sell the home. You're not going to be living in it long term. And it really comes down to three things. Staging is meant to create something that is designed to appeal to the broadest range of buyers. It's meant to focus on selling, not living. That's why sometimes when we're staging our home, it can feel a little weird because that's not how we would live in it, but that is essentially setting the stage so that your home markets better on the home market. And then, of course, one of the things to keep in mind with home staging is that it is temporary, it's strategic, and it is emotionally driven. When I come in, I've done this several times with Tennille, with her clients. When I come into your home for a staging consultation, the things that I am suggesting, one of the things I always say is the more you do now, the less you have to do later. And I do try to say that so that your mind can shift from, oh my goodness, we have to live like this forever. No, this is just temporary. This is just for the next few weeks and few months so that we can get buyers in so that they can see the full potential of your home. And it's strategic in that we are trying to, again, appeal to that broad range of buyers. We're trying to make them connect to your home. As soon as they walk in, if you have a huge grand entry with a wonderful chandelier, they should immediately feel emotionally connected. If you have a lot of, personal photos on the wall and wallpaper and maybe loud colors as soon as they walk in, they might be emotionally disconnected and they might be like, wow, we really don't want to keep going through this home. So that is why we make the specific staging suggestions that we make. And we always try to, I always try to talk to people when I'm walking through their home that remember it's temporary, strategic, and emotionally driven. So let's talk through the benefits of home staging. Home staging essentially is about creating that emotional, right? At the end of the day, it's about creating a feeling. Buyers make decisions quickly, and staging helps them emotionally connect to the space almost immediately, like we mentioned. It also helps the home to photograph well. A lot, I don't know if any of you have experienced this, but sometimes you're looking through homes, on the internet, and you can immediately tell, wow, that was not staged, or wow, that we really don't even want to even look at that because it's so off-putting. And that's what staging is trying to mitigate because people are looking at your home for the first time online and we want to make sure those photos, we want to make sure that it photographs well. So this is huge when it comes to making a first impression online. And then of course, when they come in, and of course, one of the biggest things I emphasize to my realtors that I work with, the clients that I work with is when you're photographing your home, we want it to photograph at its best, but we also want to make sure that it's true to the character of the home. You don't want to photograph it so bright and big, and then when someone comes for a showing, it's actually a lot smaller. So we do want to make sure that we are staying true to the home because again, that first impression is going to be kind of a Debbie Downer, right? If they saw something online and it's not what they see in person, that's going to be a Debbie Downer. So we don't want to do that. Or maybe I've seen this a few times where the clients don't want to paint, so the photographer will kind of lighten the photos a little bit so the color doesn't seem so off-putting. And what happens when they arrive? They start the showing with a disappointment, and we don't want to do that. So again, benefits of home staging, it creates that emotional connection quickly. It highlights the space and functionality. The biggest thing when we're talking about kitchens or just bedrooms, we are trying to position, if you have furniture in the home, position the furniture in such a way that it makes it feel big. It makes it feel large and spacious because that's what buyers want. It also helps homes show better. Again, we already talked about this online and in person. That first impression is so important. And then it reduces the time, it can reduce the time on market. You see the statistics today, 75% of homes sell faster when they have been staged. Even something as simple as a staging consultation, maybe you're not fully staging your home. Either way, it does help reduce that time on market because it helps it appeal to a broad range of buyers. And then, of course, lastly, this is the biggest thing that impacts sellers is that it supports stronger offers. If someone walks into your home when you're selling it and can see the potential, can see, wow, look at that trim work, look at the walls. I don't have to paint the walls, so that's something that I don't have to do as, a homeowner and all of that stuff. So they will have a stronger offer that will come in. Ideally, we would like to have multiple offers come in on the home. The idea is we want the home to be staged so that it can support those stronger offers coming in so that when people come in, they don't think, oh, wow, I'm going to have to put so much work into this. We're going to have to go really low on the price that we offer. We want them to come in and give you right at or even above your asking price is the goal with staging. So now let's flip that, okay? So we've talked about staging. We know what that is. Let's talk about interior design. Again, interior design, as it's defined in the dictionary, it involves planning, designing, and coordinating the elements of interior spaces to meet the specific needs of users while ensuring comfort, safety, and visual appeal. So again, if you remember back to what we said about staging, staging is a marketing strategy. It's a creative process. Interior design, on the other hand, still is a process, but it revolves around planning, coordinating, and meeting specific needs of the homeowner. So it's two completely ends of the spectrum, similar but not the same. This is where we're designing for you, right? Interior design. We're designing for your routines, your family, your lifestyle. It's more detailed, it's more personal, and it's really focused on creating something that works long term, not just for the short term. So, just like staging had a threefold purpose, interior design has a fourfold purpose. Interior design is designed for how you live, and I cannot stress this enough with clients. When you hire an interior designer, when you're looking to design the interior of your home, it should be designed for how you live. That should be the bare minimum of what you allow. There should never be anything that you put in your home just because it looks beautiful but maybe doesn't function. We always want it to function first. It's personalized and detailed. So with interior design, you can get a little bit more detailed. You can get a little bit more fun. We can add the fun wallpaper. We can add the tongue and groove ceiling and, the fluted details on the kitchen cabinetry. Those things you can add in when you're designing for yourself because it's about how you live. It's about how your family lives. Again, interior design is also aimed at long-term decisions. We talked about how staging is short-term. That's for a few months at most, where we're living this way. We're living a little bit more minimal. With interior design, this is the long term. This is for the next 10, 15 years of your life. This is how you're going to live. So you need to make sure that when you're hiring an interior designer or when you're designing your own home, that is how the design reflects those long-term decisions. And then lastly, it's focused on function, lifestyle, and cohesion. Again, you're going to hear function a lot in this presentation because I think that's something a lot of people miss. But always think function first. It needs to support your lifestyle. It doesn't make sense, and just an example from an interior designer, it doesn't make sense to go with a white sofa that's not a performance fabric if you're a perfectionist and you have a lot of kids and you let the dogs on the couch. It does not make sense, right? That doesn't make sense. So you always want to think about function. It might look beautiful, but if you're going to be scared to let the kids sit on it, or you're going to be scared to let the dog sit on it, but you do like having your kids and dogs sitting on the sofa, then we need to rethink that and we need to find out what works for your specific lifestyle. And again, lifestyle, same thing. You want to think about traffic flow. Are you a big cooking person? Do you cook a lot? Okay, well, are there multiple cooks in the kitchen? Do we need extra space between the kitchen island and the perimeter cabinets? Those are things you need to be thinking through. And just because it looks good on Instagram doesn't mean it works for your lifestyle. So you always want to make sure you think through that. And then cohesion, right? When you hire an interior designer, this is probably the number one thing I hear from clients. We want it to look cohesive. Like maybe clients have really great taste, but they don't know how to make it all flow. So they'll just be, here are all of our photos that we love, and we don't know how to make it flow. And that's where your interior designer comes in and helps to connect all the pieces. We want to make sure your home is cohesive. We want people to, just like when we're staging a home, we want the buyers to have that experience of going into your home with interior design. It's the same thing. We are trying to create an experience for your guests when they come in, an experience for you when you come in at the end of a long day at work. We want that experience to be felt throughout every area of the home. So let's talk through some of the benefits, right? At the end, so let's talk about through some of the benefits really fast. Overall, interior design is supposed to support your life. So it's supposed to support daily life and routines. One of the things that we start with here at our firm is before we start talking about all the pretty finishes and the tile and the paint colors and the furnishings, we talk about like, okay, well, are you a coffee drinker? Are you, do you like to step right outside first thing in the morning? Okay, maybe we have to have an entrance where we can have you go from the master straight onto the front porch. There are things that we think through as far as your lifestyle goes, and that's where we start with. And from there, we can start looking at all the pretty things that people see on Instagram. Also, talking through that, it kind of delves right in. Thoughtful layouts that function well. We want layouts that function well. For instance, we had a client that came to us and they were they were already past the build and drywall. So I would say they came to us a little bit too late, but they were already past the drywall stage. Everything was framed up. And when we got into the master bedroom, we were talking through, okay, what are we going to do in this space? And they were like, well, we love the closet. We want it to be a custom closet. Great. So we continued on. We talked through everything. They were like, we have a lot of hats and shoes. Great. We install everything. And what I noticed going into it was that the master closet in the upstairs room, it wasn't big enough for what they had. And of course, at that point, we had come in after drywall, so there really wasn't anything we could do. But I couldn't help but think as an interior designer, if we would have been able to be brought in prior to, we would have eliminated some of that space in the master because they weren't using all of it and added onto the closet. So the closet would be bigger and that actually would function more for what they needed. So it's things like that that really you want to think about. That is a layout decision that could have made a huge impact in the way that they live, right? Again, we talked about having a cohesive and elevated aesthetic. A lot of times clients are coming to us when they are getting ready to invest in their forever home. Sometimes it's empty nesters, sometimes it's families. And at this point, they're ready to invest. They want their dream home. And we want to make sure that it's cohesive, yes, but we also want to make sure it's elevated because a lot of times for families, they are also entertaining their friends on the weekend. They're having all the kids and their families over on the weekend. So we want to make sure it's family friendly in that aspect. Or even for empty nesters, they want their grandkids and their kids to come home and feel, like it's a beautiful home. So we want to make sure that it's cohesive but also elevated as well. And then this last point when it comes to the benefits of interior design is it's for long-term comfort and livability. And I want you to kind of sit in this one a little bit because one of the things I feel that most people miss is, oh, I'm just going to buy the sofa for now. I'll buy another one in 2 years. But that's not what it's about. It's about investing in your furnishings, in your finishes, because this is going to be what gives you 24/7, 365 daily comfort. You want to make sure that you're not having to retile your shower in 5 years. You want it to last for 10, 15, 20 years. A lot of times when clients come to us, they don't understand the investment for furnishings. And it's very simply put, we want you to invest in the right furnishings. We're not purchasing a sofa on Amazon. We're not getting our chairs from Target. They're only going to last you for a few years. You want something that's going to last you for the long term, something that's going to give you comfort and not sag, after a few weeks of sitting in it and you can feel the springs and all those things. So just trying to think about that when you're thinking about interior design, right? This is the long term, staging is the short term. Those are one of the biggest differences here. All right. So if you're selling your home, I want you to think about a few things. These are the things to remember. And if you're taking notes, I'll get to things that you can be doing as well if you're thinking about selling your home versus if you're thinking about designing your home. First, you need to remember that if you are designing for the buyer, not yourself. Okay? This is where I like to be really honest, you know me, because this is what actually impacts the results. When you're selling, you're no longer designing for yourself. You're designing for a buyer. Your home is almost like on a display case. This is what you want to get your mindset and thinking of. This shift can be really hard for some homeowners because there's an emotional attachment there, right? You've been in your home. Some of them have been in their home for 5, 20, 35 years, and there's that emotional connection. So it's just, this is a mental shift that you have to make when you're getting ready to sell your home. And it makes a huge difference in how your home is received. Emotional attachment can hold you back and it can hold the sale of your home back. If you're not willing to do some of the things that are needed, whether that's renovating or whether that's just removing a sofa that doesn't need to be there, that can really hold you back and that can cause your home to sit on the market longer. It can cause price reductions on all of those things. So I would really recommend that you kind of get into that mindset. And then, of course, number 3, over customization limits appeal. Now, when I say this to a certain extent. This is different for when you're resale versus new construction. When it comes to resale, which is kind of most people in today's market, when you're over customizing it, it can limit the appeal to buyers. We already touched on this a little bit. Sometimes a particular type of wallpaper can turn buyers off, and you have no idea. Sometimes religious artifacts can turn buyers off, and that's not a bad thing. It just means we might have to limit it for a certain amount of time. Some over customization. I love colorful kitchens. I think they're beautiful. Some people are completely turned off. So if you're going to paint your kitchen cabinets black on the bottom and gold on the top, you might have to rethink that when you're selling because that's going to probably limit your range of buyers that will be coming to your home. Again, number four, neglected maintenance will show. So I always tell clients this, the thing that you've been pushing off for years and years and years, maybe pressure washing, maybe getting the gutters fixed, maybe, repairing that stair on, that step on the stair, those things will show when it comes to selling your home. So keep that in mind. I always tell clients, you don't want the buyers to find out something when they're doing their final walkthrough. Just be upfront, honest at the very beginning. So if something needs to get repaired, just mentally prepare yourself that you're going to have to get that fixed. If you don't want to get it fixed, then just make sure that it's clear to the buyer. Like it's going to be sold as is. We're not fixing that. And just be very upfront. Honesty is key when it comes to things like this. And of course, when it comes to inspections and things like that, you might have to do some of those neglected repairs that you've been putting off. And then lastly, always remember that first impressions matter. So when your realtor comes in or your stager comes in and tells you we need to do X, Y, and Z, don't take it personal. We're trying to help you. We're trying to navigate and help you get your home on the market and getting it looking its best. This is where things matter. First impressions do matter online and in person. So these are things to remember if you are selling your home. So what you can do right now, if you're selling your home, maybe you're watching this and you're like, I need to reach out to Tennille this next week. Okay, I want you to kind of take a mental checklist and I want you to think about things you can do right now. The first thing I would recommend, practically, edit down. So, aka remove anything that feels overly personal. That can be a plaque that you won from a certification or your kid's graduation or some sport, things like that. It can be photos of your family. Just go ahead and remove those. Then focus on lighting. I want you to go into every room and think about, like where is the natural light coming from and what do my fixtures look like? Because a lot of times natural light when you're selling your home, it could be as simple as removing the curtains, minimizing the window treatments, opening them nice and wide. That can get a lot of natural light in. If you have a skylight, maybe look up, doesn't need to get cleaned. So the natural light can flow in. Those are things to think about. Update your fixtures. That's probably one of the outside of painting, that can be one of the easiest things to upgrade your home for a fraction of the cost. Yes, there's going to be some investment involved in that. You need to purchase new light fixtures, but just swapping everything out so it's similar. It doesn't have to match perfectly, but just the same finish at least. And then again, we have number three, rework the furniture placement to improve flow. Again, a lot of people, this is probably where they struggle with the most, is how do we this is working for us. How do we don't understand why it's making the living room feel small or cramped or anything like that. So here is where having your stager come in to help talk you through things. It's a third party coming in that can see things that maybe you don't even realize. I don't know if you've heard of the expression, I'm sure you have, of being nose blind, right? There's sometimes smells you don't realize. You're like, what? This is fine. I'm living perfect. It's great. But then someone comes in and they smell it right away and they can say, hey, you might need to light a candle, open the door, do something. That's the same thing when it comes to your furniture placement. So think through that. Address small repairs you've been putting off. Again, we hit that in the last slide. Just look at the exterior. What's looking dingy? Where's the paint chipping? We need to look at those things because that's going to be the first thing that you need to work on. And then of course, the last one, keep palettes light, neutral, and cohesive. This is definitely where a lot of people can sometimes just not quite understand why it doesn't have to be all white, but you need to kind of neutralize everything in the home. So those are just some practical steps that I would recommend if you're thinking about selling your home right now. That's what you want to do. So then let's turn it over to the flip side. You've just moved in. You've worked with Tennille. It's been amazing. Now what? What should we consider? All right. So the first thing I want to remind you is avoid rushing decisions. Okay. This is something that you always want to make sure. Don't just jump right in and start looking at Instagram and Pinterest and just that looks great, that looks great. And then your whole home is just a collage of everything you've seen on the internet and it actually does not reflect you, your personality, or your lifestyle. So avoid rush decisions. The best homes I have found are layered over time and thought through carefully, especially when it comes to if you're building, when it comes to layouts, foundation, all of those things, or if you're just moving into another home and it just needs an upgrade. It needs to reflect you and your family. Sometimes the homes are neutral, but you need to go in and kind of spruce it up a little bit so you can live in it for the next 20, 30 years, right? So that's number one, avoid rushing decisions. Number two, focus on function first. We've mentioned this a lot. Always focus on function, 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 function. I'll leave it there. That's all you need to do. All right. And then invest in foundational elements. So some of the things that I recommend clients investing in on the finishes side is maybe new flooring. If you are a hardwood person and maybe the person that was selling their home wasn't a hardwood person and that's something that you really love, you love to see the patina of hardwood, maybe consider swapping your flooring. Painting is a really big foundational element. Again, it's a decision that needs to be thought through so it matches everything else in the room. But painting is a really great thing to think about. You can really pack a punch with light fixtures, things that reflect your personality. You were neutralizing when you were selling your home. Well, now you get to add in some fun things, right? So those are the foundational elements that I would recommend on the finishes side, and even something as simple as switching out the doors, trim work. There's so many things that you can think through on the finishes side. But for furnishings, I want you to think about three things when it comes to the foundational elements of furnishings. First, your main pieces. So that's a dining table, that's your chairs, that's your sofas. So all of those pieces need to be high quality. Those are things that you're sitting in, that you're working on every single day. So those are your foundational elements. And then I would also challenge you to think of your rug. Any rug that you have in your room, master bedroom, I personally think every room needs an area rug except for the dining room. That's kind of give or take, depending on how many kids you have. Um, but you really want to think through that because that's something you're stepping on every day. It anchors the space, and that's really a foundational element of your furnishings pieces. And then, of course, lighting. Lighting is another furnishing side of things that you want to consider. This is a foundational element. Do you need a lamp on the side table because that's where you read and have your coffee every morning? Do you need more can lights around your main living fixture because maybe you need a lot more light to see, maybe because of something physical. Those are things that you want to consider on the furnishing side. And then, of course, the fourth thing, design should support your lifestyle. Always remember that. You should never be just designing just to design. There needs to be a reason behind it. There needs to be, why is this helpful? It could be as simple as I love lemon wallpaper because I've loved lemons my whole life and the color yellow makes me happy. That's fine. That's helpful for your lifestyle. That's going to elevate your lifestyle. So that's okay. That's fine. But it should support it. And then, of course, lastly, can't say this, right? Hire an interior designer, even if it's a jump start. I always recommend to clients if you're moving into your first home, maybe you don't have the investment to do a full service rehaul of your entire home, but even having an interior design consultation, I call it our design jump start, is very helpful to just have someone come in and give you the potential for your home. Like, this is what I would do in this room. This is what I would do in this room based on what you've shared with me in your questionnaire. So even if it's a jump start, again, if you need a little bit more, you can always go further into that. But those are things to consider if you're about to move into a home. And then what you can do right now, you're moving in, start with a clear furniture layout before buying anything. Don't buy pillows, don't buy artwork, don't buy coffee table accessories. Just think through the actual furniture layout before you buy anything in the room. Live in the space briefly to understand how it functions. Sometimes we have clients who they're moving into the home and they're like, we just want to sit in the home for like a month to see how we feel. Okay, great. And then we jump into design. That's totally fine because they want to see like what do they like about the home, what don't they like about the home. We have clients when we are working with them on construction. I'll do a little plug here. We work with Walk Your Plans in Atlanta, where after we essentially lay the foundation for their home, they have the opportunity to go and they have everything kind of blown up in this huge warehouse to size for their home. So clients are actually able to walk through their plans to scale so that they can kind of get a feel for what that looks like. Is this fridge where we want it to be? Is the sink where we want it to be? So we work with that as well because I think again I believe that one of the biggest things is being able to understand the space that you're going to be in before making any more decisions. So we do that for our construction clients. And of course, if you are living in your home, I would live in it for a month and then maybe circle back and think through if you want to hire a designer and what that would look like. And then, of course, the third thing, choose a whole home color direction early. Again, having a color palette of 4 to 5 colors that you're going to stay within for your entire home is going to help you tremendously. We just did this with a client recently, again, actually, where we did a design jumpstart. We created a color palette for her. And I just told her, you are taking this and you're using it throughout your different homes for your nursery. You know, green, beige, and white. You could have it be primarily green, use different shades of green, and then pop in the beige and white versus down here in the living room, maybe you want it completely more neutral and elegant with a pop of black, and green is the accent color. So you can take that and kind of use it in different scale. And then of course, prioritize your key pieces. We talked about this a little bit already. Your foundational elements, your sofas, rugs, and lighting. Those are first. Always start with those first before adding in other accessories. Don't make that run to Home Goods before you have a sofa. I know you're going to do it, just don't do it until you've purchased a sofa. All right, and then layer in finishes and decor over time. So again, if you're not working with an interior designer, I don't want you to rush. I want you to just layer things in over time. Layer in your blankets, your pillows, things like that over time so that it looks perfectly layered. All right, so one of the things I'd love to end on is that people go wrong when they try to do two things at once. And this is where I think a lot of people get stuck. They're designing their home like they're about to sell, and they're staging their home like they're going to live there forever. So those are the things that I feel like people get confused. They unintentionally blur the lines between designing their home and selling it. And that's where the disconnect can kind of start. And that's where things tend to get messed up. So overall, I hope that this was very helpful for you as far as defining the lines between staging and design. Before we wrap up, I will just go ahead and share. We do, like I said at the beginning, we offer um, interior design for new builds, renovations, and home furnishings, and that looks different depending on what your project needs are. If you are confused as far as what the next steps would look like, I would just say inquire about your project here. We can talk through all of that, but we do offer everything on the right-hand side. We have our one-on-one consultation. So if you just moved in and you just want a quick jump start, that would be a perfect place to start. And then we also have our designer for a day. So a lot of times clients come to us, and if they only need assistance with 1 or 2 spaces, and then they're going to manage everything themselves as far as the trades and all of those things, then we just jump in and we're able to get an initial support call. We have a 6 hour in-person experience for our clients, and then we also have an hour support call following that. And that's just for clients who want 1 or 2 spaces. They need to get their powder bath done or their living room done. We've even had clients use this service strategically as far as we're wanting to do it gradually. Let's do one today. We'll do another one in 3 months. And we kind of do it as they want to purchase furniture and get things moving. So that is where you get our expert guidance, but then you're handling the majority of it after the fact. And then we also have, of course, our bread and butter, that's full service interior design. And this is where we give you a turnkey design experience from concept to completion. So this is, Esther, we need the entire home done, or we need at least 3 spaces. We do have a 3-room minimum for this service. Or we're building our home, anything like that, and we just need you to help get us from point A to point B. And we handle everything from the design to the project management to furnishings and installation. So we really make it a fun experience for everyone. And again, if you're not sure where you fit within that realm, you can always inquire here about a project and we'll get you on the calendar to talk through what your needs are. And then, of course, last but not least, if you want to stay in contact with us, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. All of the contact information is here. You can also, again, the QR code is right there. So we'd love for you to connect with us that way. And we'd love to just stay connected. So thank you all so much for your time today. I'd love to just take a few minutes and maybe answer any questions you might have. So feel free to either pop them in the chat, or I think, Tennille, if you want to unmute everyone, if anyone has any questions, I would love to take them.
Yes. So I enjoyed this tremendously. Thank you so much, Esther. That was some great information. And one thing I have seen, like working with clients, they feel like home maintenance items being
Mhm.
addressed is the same thing as updates or upgrades. There is a difference, like
Yeah.
just typical home maintenance from like keeping your appliances up to date or painting is not the same as a renovation.
Right, right. I would agree. Yeah. I mean, again, that's something where, like I said in the presentation, those maintenance things are going to pop up,
Hmm.
right? Those things are going to happen because it needs to get done before you sell your home. But definitely, if you are upgrading something, like maybe you are redoing your entire kitchen or swapping out, even something as simple as swapping out all the sinks and all the fixtures or all the like plumbing fixtures, those are upgrades, right? That you need to kind of differentiate between the two. Home maintenance, I would say those are things that buyers are going to notice as soon as they walk in, and you need to do them. Like you're going to have to invest in the home maintenance. The
Hmm.
upgrades is trying to push the value of your home higher. What upgrades can I make to my home might look great, but maybe it does need to get all the doorknobs swapped because they all look a little bad, you know? Not that the
Right.
ones that are there are not functional, but that's an upgrade that you can choose to do to increase the value of your home.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Robin, were there any questions that came to mind as you listened?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I mean, a couple of things. And first of all, I just want to reach out to Esther and thank her for her patience because I know she's fielded questions from me regarding the painting. And then Bob just wanted to clarify that he comprehended what was done and he called her separately. So shout out to Esther as far as her patience. Two questions. Again, going through the punch list, Esther recommended having floor buffers to remove any scratches. Do y'all have anyone you can recommend?
Tennille, do you have a flooring
Oh,
person?
yes, yes, yes. So Robin, I will send you a contact. I'm gonna text you.
Okay.
I think it's Southern Flooring. I need to double check the name of the company, but yes, I do have someone I can refer to you.
Outstanding. And then one other question or situation. Esther had suggested having the flat screen put above the fireplace. So the challenge we're having right now is the current one that we have, the feet of the flat
Mhm.
screen will not fit on top of the mantle. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm really not sure I want to go ahead after the walls have been painted to have someone mount the TV. So my question to you is this. Do they have a fake flat screen TV or a dummy flat screen TV that they make specifically for staging homes?
So, to answer your question, are you, just to clarify, are you thinking of just removing the TV completely and then putting something above the mantle temporarily, just for
Well,
staging?
no, from what you had put on your punch list, and I agree totally. That's why we're really trying to wrap our brains around how we can best make this successful. Is
Yes.
when you come through our front foyer and you notice all the opportunities that you have. Your eye's going to go to the fireplace, and wow, we could watch TV in this room. It's very inviting. So we're trying to see how we can best match that expectation. And right now, other than putting a smaller TV up there, that's probably our other option, but that's a look we're trying to achieve right now.
Yeah, I would focus less on the look of a TV and focus more on we're trying to make the fireplace the focal point.
Okay.
So instead of necessarily going for let's find a faux TV, because I don't, as far as I know, I don't think there's something out there. There might be, who knows nowadays. But I've always done it when we're staging where we just add a large piece of artwork up there so
Okay.
that people can, again, the biggest thing is we are selling that fireplace because that's a feature that's staying with the home. So I wouldn't try and do like a faux TV to do anything like that. We would want it to just be focused on the fireplace. So I would just add an art piece up there if possible, and then just remove the TV
Okay.
completely.
because I know, again, we're just kind of brainstorming with
Yeah,
our adult children, and my son's like, well, maybe put a TV there so they can visualize, wow, I could be in this room watching a game. I'm in the kitchen, I could grab snacks, and it was accessible. So, when
yeah.
you're, okay, that's perfect for the clarification. But, those were our two punch items. Once the painting gets done, we really want to reach out to the floor buffers and we're moving and a shaking, we're motivated. I'm a type A person like you, Esther. So, um, I don't rest easy until I know these things need to be done in a certain way. So
Absolutely. I'm sure my builders that I work with would be like, wow, why is she always wanting to get this done? You gotta get it done. It's how it is.
absolutely, absolutely. But we sincerely appreciate working with you and your patience. And thank you so much for such an informational Zoom meeting today. I took
Absolutely.
copious notes, and definitely Bob is working, so unfortunately he couldn't jump in with us. But I'm going to share what you've given to us, and definitely gleaned a lot of great ideas. So thank you so much.
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you for coming, Robin.
Thank you.
And we will put this recording in the newsletter that's coming out, Robin, on
Okay.
Friday, and we'll share it on Facebook as well and YouTube.
Outstanding.
So
Outstanding.
Bob can still watch the recording.
Cool. All right, good enough. Yeah, he's in a Zoom meeting himself. He's got mandatory staff development this morning. So that's why I have the headphones on. So we're not annoying each other, I guess, if you want to call it that. All right,
Awesome.
outstanding. Thank you so very much. I appreciate all your efforts.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Esther, we appreciate you so much, and thank you for sharing so much information with us between staging and interior design, and whether you are selling or just want to live in a beautiful space, like what makes sense for each scenario. So we are very clear on that now, and um, like I said, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing everything. And any last words, Esther?
No, just thank you so much for having me. And I hope that this just was able to provide some clarity for everybody out there, for sure.
Outstanding.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Well, y'all have an amazing day and thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.